Yeah. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. We the ones they the ones they can't skip. Fighting for respect, it's a tough road ahead. But we pack that heart and we never dread. Late hits and big plays, we bring in the heat. Watch out for the G5, we can't be beat. From the MAC to the Sun Belt, we don't back down. In this football jungle, we wear the crown. All the doubt is sleeping, but we making noise. In the G5 Hive, we the realest boys. When the clock's ticking down, we the ones that believe. One play, one chance, we gon' make them achieve. From the sidelines to the end zone, hear that roar. In the G5 Hive, we always wantin' more. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. So raise your flags high, let them wave in the air. In the G5 Hive, we the squad that's rare. With heart and grit, we rewriting the script. In the world of college football, we the ones they can't skip. Yeah.
Here's Navarro on the run. Navarro's going to keep it. Navarro for 6! Touchdown, Bobcat!
I feel I had a hard time staying in my own lane.
Oh my goodness! Red Murdoch! Pick 6!
Harvath inside the 30 to 20. Blake Harvath will score!
And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there.
There's his man, Rucker. And nobody's going to catch him. Goodbye.
Intercepted!
Tyree Skipper! Touchdown!
Telly again, why not? A step forward and make it 2 for Telly!
Quarterback keeper showing off the speed, steps on the gas, untouched!
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive, where we bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I'm Luke, joined by my co-host Justice. If you are watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. Tonight, we'll bring you up to speed on the news and happenings around the G5. What a whirlwind it has been the last couple days, the last week, whatever. I guess it's only been 3 days. It feels like a week. We're going to review what went down in the 3 bowl games from last week, which will bring us to the end of the G5 bowl season. But first, Justice and I want to wish everybody a happy and prosperous new year. Now let's get into our G5 Hive Players of the Week. My, Offensive Player of the Week for the final week of bowl games is Texas State quarterback Brad Jackson. Brad threw for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns while adding 52 yards and another touchdown on the ground to lead the Bobcats to victory in the Armed Forces Bowl. Congrats, Brad.
My Defensive Player of the Week for the final week of bowl games is Louisiana Tech linebacker Chief Sifa Leota. Sifa had 10 tackles, 9 solos, 3 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and 2 sacks to lead the Bulldogs to victory in the Independence Bowl. Congratulations, Chief. My Offensive Player of the Week for the final week of bowl week games is Eli Heidenreich, Navy snipe slot back. Eli caught 5 balls for 54 yards and touchdown while adding another 62 yards on the ground to lead the midshipmen to victory in the Liberty Bowl. Congratulations, Eli.
And let's stick with a Navy theme. My Defensive Player of the Week for the final week of bowl games is Navy linebacker Coleman Colley. Coleman had 10 tackles, 7 solo, and a pick 6 interception for a touchdown to lead the midshipmen to victory in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Congrats, Coleman. All right, Justice. I know we got to buckle up, dive right into some things, but this is going to be a little bit shorter of a show than normal. We are, I think I did not talk about at the beginning, we are going to talk about our G5 Hive all-conference teams. We put those out on our All-American team. We put those out, each conference and the All-American, on our socials, on our Instagram, on our X account. If you hadn't got a chance to, so if you haven't had a chance to see that, we did want to at least bring the all G5 All-Americans to you guys this week as we kind of wrap up. And like I said, we're kind of in the middle of the transfer portal, so we'll talk about that kind of at the end. But new year, new me. I'm trying to get back to working out, and I did leg day today. And that interview with Mike Tyson where he's like, I broke my back. Like, I just did like really, really light. I'm like, okay, I got to ease back into it. Let's not ego lift. Let's just get back into it. And I just, did real light weights, and my legs are on fire. I'm sitting down, obviously, doing this podcast. Not sure if I'm going to get back up. I might crawl up the stairs. I don't know, but like I just feel like Mike Tyson. Like, what's wrong with you? Broke my back.
I'll be there right with you soon. I was, I had hernia surgery in November, so I wasn't able to do anything really, from a physical standpoint until the 1st of January. So, my target was this week to kind of get back on track and being active, etc. So, I'm sure I'll be right there with you this week.
All right. Well, Brett joins us tonight. So, hey, Brett. Thank you for joining along. So now that we've kind of got that covered, let's take my broken back. And Justice, what does the Swarm needs to know? What are our news notes?
So not a lot tonight. Just a couple coaching things. Like I said, we'll talk about portal stuff later on in the new year. Once that kind of slows down, folks go to their new locations. Portal's still open for, I guess, this is the first week, right? It's only open for 2 weeks for folks to enter. They can exit the portal anytime, but most players want to get to their new location so they can be there for spring ball. And I know most classes start either the 12th, which is a week from today, or the 19th. So should be getting a lot of notifications of guys where they're going to end up going.
And the portal closes Friday, January 16th, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
all right, couple of coaching notes. Tulsa is expected to hire Kevin Barbay as their new offensive coordinator. He was previously an offensive coordinator at Houston, Mississippi State, and App State. This one doesn't really excite me too much, but we'll see how he does there at Tulsa. UTSA hires Rick Boot. Is there?
What does excite me about Tulsa? We don't have it on the show.
Well, the Portal House.
The Portal House. That I have not got a chance to, what I know they've got some clips here and there. I just got to see like the introduction of the Portal House. So I'm like, that.
Yeah.
That's
a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like we're going to get a really an inside look of like Tulsa as they navigate the transfer portal. Kind of like a oh my gosh, what are those shows on HBO called with
Hard Knocks?
Yeah, Hard Knocks version of the portal with Tulsa. So should be pretty cool. But yeah, check that out if you haven't seen any of it. All right, like I said, UTSA hires Rick Bowie as their new offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator at Western Kentucky, he came over from Abilene Christian. He was only there 1 year. He brought Maverick McIver with him to Western Kentucky. Now he goes back to Texas there with UTSA and Coach Jeff Traylor. Correspondingly, Western Kentucky has hired Bodie Reeder as their offensive coordinator. He was fired, I don't know, month and a half ago from Middle Tennessee as their offensive coordinator. That one, that's really strange to me. I didn't think he did really well at Middle Tennessee. I don't know. Maybe they can Coach Helton will help guide him, and his offense will come to life for Western Kentucky. We'll see. It's a little different of a track for Western Kentucky because in the past they've really gone after the high profile FCS guys that had high flying offenses in the FCS. So this is a little different from what they've done in the past with their OCs. Todd Grantham was hired as the defensive coordinator for UAB. Previously, he was the Oklahoma State defensive coordinator in 2025 and the defensive line coach for the New Orleans Saints from 2023 to 2024. Southern Miss promotes Joe Bolden to their defensive coordinator and linebacker coach. He was the special teams coordinator and Nichols coach at Southern Miss this past season. And South Alabama is supposedly targeting Todd Orlando as their defensive coordinator. Todd Orlando was the defensive coordinator there for South Florida the last several years. It's I don't know. I mean, probably of all those, the one that excites me the most, I guess I would say, is Rick Bowie going to UTSA. Kind of keeps that high flying offense going for UTSA.
Brett in the chat asks, he says lots of retreads. Like when I look at these, Rick Bowie comes from Abilene Christian. How long was he there at UTSA?
I mean, he's only Western Kentucky for a year. He was only there for a year.
Bodie Reeder comes from UNI. He's only there for 2 years. So like there are retreads, but they're not they're like these FCS coming up to the G5, and then honestly, so we've talked about like Western Kentucky just in general of like not being super thrilled with the head coaching overall there, and then obviously at Middle Tennessee talked about that. Justice is not a fan of what's going on at UTSA, but those are like, it's either you get fired as a head coach or you got to say, hey, I got to get a new coordinator. One of the two. So like maybe they didn't, I'm giving people a little bit longer of a leash. Justice is like, you got like a year to prove something to me. Otherwise, I'm surprised. Honestly, I've lasted.
No, you get a couple years. You get a couple years.
I'm surprised I've lasted this long as a co-host here. Before Justice, like, you're not producing. Get out. But I think that's mainly what it is there, Brett. I think it's mainly, hey, maybe not so much you didn't show me anything, but it's like it's either you or me, and I gotta eat. See ya.
No, he meant Middle Tennessee, Brett, not UTSA.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a big Derek Mason fan. He hasn't shown much in terms of improvement year to year, and so him getting rid of Bodie Reeder was his coordinators was kind of like that's the signal like, hey, you got to try and do something to save your own butt. But yeah.
Maybe we talked about this on one show, but I think we've all kind of forgotten because of how great the year was. But there's one coach that we knew was on the hot seat this year, and that wasn't Tulane. It was why am I blanking on who it was? Not Golish. There was somebody down south that were like, oh, and they had like a really good year. Who am I thinking of? Bad radio.
I mean, they had a really good year.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, Ricky Ronnie, maybe.
No. I'm gonna look it up. I'm trying to remember. They were on a hot seat. They're like, hey, he might get fired. And then like they did great. North Texas.
Oh, yeah. Eric Morris.
Like he was on the hot seat. Like, oh, he might, if they don't do anything, he might get fired. And then he's, does everything, and now he's off to Oklahoma State. So
yeah,
it's kind of weird how it's like, hey, if you don't show something, you got to get rid of these coordinators and then go. And then like you can have the perfect storm because that's what had happened. And it's like, okay, he just got a new defensive coordinator, and then boom, we're gone.
Yeah, he brings in Skylar Cassidy to help that defense, and now he's recreating North Texas there at Oklahoma State. Bring in the squad with him. So see how it goes.
All right. Well, should we move over to our bowl game reviews?
Yeah, let's get those done. Knock them out.
All right. So in the Radiance Technology Independence Bowl, we had 6-6 Coastal Carolina against 7-5 Louisiana Tech. And this is like, I don't know if I'm starting to figure out what we can say on YouTube and what we can't, but like this is like a cockblock game. Like game had no flow to it. It at the first half featured 17 penalties, 10 by Coastal, 7 by Louisiana Tech. The 17 first half penalties was the most penalties in any first half of an FBS game this season. Coastal Carolina outgained Louisiana Tech 248 to 104 yards in the first half. One turnover in the first half. Louisiana Tech threw an INT on the opening drive, but the script was flipped in the second half, along with a playing getting cleaned up. You had Louisiana Tech outgained Coastal Carolina 191 to 107. There were only 8 penalties, 4 by each team, but the turnovers increased to staggering 6. You had Coastal Carolina had a fumble, 3 interceptions. Louisiana Tech had 3 fumbles, but the key moment happened in the fourth when Tad Hudson was intercepted with 11:56 left in the fourth. It was a 14-6 game with Coastal up at that point. The interception was awesome. Like Tad Hudson threw it to Robbie Johnson, and he just got lit up by Amari Butler, and the ball just popped off of. I'm trying to remember the timing, but it was like he caught it, then it like went off Amari Butler, or it went off Robbie Johnson, then Amari Butler, and then popped right into the hands of Jordan McCrae's, and Trey Kukuk found Marlon Jackson for a 52-yard touchdown, which makes up for his fumble that he lost on the series prior. That cut the lead to 14-12 in favor of the Chanticleers. After that moment, Coastal would not score again in the game and would only muster up 42 yards on 5 possessions while turning the ball over on downs once and throwing an interception. Louisiana Tech, on the other hand, would go on to score 10 more points and win this one 23-14.
Yeah, it was an ugly game. It was not. I don't know. It wasn't very entertaining either, other than maybe the fourth quarter. But yeah, kudos to Louisiana Tech for finding a way to win the ugly one.
All right, let's move on over to our Armed Forces Bowl. This, after the new year, January 2nd. Rice 5-7, Texas State 6-6. Texas State was up 10-7 at the half, and just like we all expected, Rice had more passing yards than Texas State, 75-62. I think we all saw that coming. What a weird first half. I mean, it was. I texted you at one point. I was like, it seems like Texas State is just like playing with their food, and they're about to get got in this one.
And Rice had some young QBs out there, right? No,
Yeah.
Drew DeVilliers. They had 2 freshmen, I think, right?
Yep. And yeah, but in the third quarter would play out the way kind of I thought the entire game would go. Texas State had 109 yards and scored 17 points. On their 2 touchdowns, they traveled 92 yards in 5 plays. Their defense held Rice to 28 yards in the quarter while forcing 2 fumbles and a turnover on downs. Texas State would be up 27-7 after 3 and end up piling up some more as they win this one 41-10. I thought Texas State played defense really, really well. They had 13 tackles for loss. When you're running that option type offense, that's very key. But yeah, having 13 TFLs on the day. Defensive line really impressed me. 7 tackles for loss, and they were led by defensive end Kennard Snyder, who had 5 tackles, 4 solos, and 3 tackles for loss there off the end. But I also want to point out my player of the week, Brad Jackson, ran for a touchdown, which makes his 17th rushing touchdown, the most in the Sun Belt. And then Chris Don Jr. and Bo Sparks ended the season with over 1,000 yards receiving. And, we also wish the best for Rice safety Devon Hook, who was carted off late in the third quarter. A scary moment there. There was like a minute 22 left or something like that. Head coach Scott Abel said after the game that he had a feeling and movement everywhere. And as of Friday at 7:22 p.m. Eastern, Hook was released from the local hospital and on his way back home. All right. Liberty Bowl on Friday. We have Navy 10-2 against Cincinnati 7-5, and the rain made this game a running game. We knew Navy was going to run the ball. Navy ran the ball 51 out of their 65 plays, but if you would have told me that Cincinnati would intentionally run the ball 38 of their 58 plays, I would have figured it was just because they had so many opt-outs that they would be just trying to get through the game and go home. This one was close in the first half as it was 7-7 with less than a minute to go, but Navy would score right before the half, and again upon receiving the second half kickoff, Navy would run away with this game 35-13 thanks to the play of the amazing trio Horvath, Texa, and Heidenreich. Blake Horvath threw for 108 yards, 2 touchdowns while running for 53 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Alex Texa ran for 80 yards and a touchdown while catching his lone target for 2 yards. And then Justice's offensive player of the week, Eli Heidenreich, rushed for 62 yards, catching 5 balls. Don't mind the 10 targets he had. It was rainy for 64 yards and a touchdown. The trio accounted for 303 of the Navy's 349 total yards of offense. Okay, you're going to say, Luke, well, Blake Horvath is the quarterback. Of course he's going to accrue a lot of yards. Okay. They accounted for 195 of the Navy's 241 yards on the ground and had both rushing scores between Texa and Blake Horvath. So Navy's defense also played well, holding Cincinnati to 239 yards and a season-low 13 points. Obviously, the weather had a lot to play with that. But yeah, it was a sloppy game.
One thing, I can't remember what because it was 2 weeks ago when we talked about the Louisiana Tech game, but I do know that those two Friday games, at least the time when we were talking about them that previous Monday, we said take Texas State and lay the points, and take Navy and lay the points, and I don't know how much the Texas. I don't know if you know this. I didn't know it until someone asked me. Someone asked me like what I thought of the Texas State game, and I said from a betting perspective, and I said take Texas State, lay the points. And they said it's up to 21 points. I'm like, oh. I said, well, it was only like 6.5, 7 on Monday when we talked about it on the show. So that line like went up dramatically in the Texas State game. Hopefully, folks took it when they covered either way, but hopefully folks got in on it early. And then the same with Navy. I don't know that the Navy one changed much. But both of those games we said take Texas State and take Navy and lay the points. They're both, I want to say, a touchdown favorite on Monday when we did the show. And in bowl games, man, I just feel like the academies are such an advantage, right? Like they're not dealing with transfer portal and that kind of and NIL and who's wants what and all that kind of stuff, and it's just like a huge advantage for them. When it comes to this, like when it's hard. I think it's hard for teams to beat Navy and Army and Air Force on a week during the regular season because it takes so much discipline. But when you're dealing with a depleted roster, from opt-outs and guys transferring or preparing for the NFL, et cetera, and you're putting guys in spots where they haven't been all year, and then you're playing something that requires so much discipline, it's just not really a good recipe for success, And so
I will say I was pretty shocked in that first half. I mean, granted, yeah, there's the rain, but like Cincinnati performed pretty well on defense in that first half against stopping that option offense. And I think that goes to being said, like if you have like a month to prepare for the offense, definitely helps. Because like we learned a lot in the Worker Bee series that these teams they'll go against the offense, an option offense for like 1 or 2 days just to put things on film, and then they never come back to it until all right, now we're playing an option offense, and then they can look at the film from then. So
yeah, I don't know that you could take a whole lot from Cincinnati and Samaj Jones just because of the weather, right? Like it was crappy weather. He'll be someone to watch, in the spring to see how he performs for the Bearcats. But yeah,
all right,
that's it. That's it for bowl season, man. No more. The only games left are the college football playoffs. Unfortunately, no G5 team in the playoffs. But
you know what? I'm finally glad though we got rid of those G5 teams and those blowouts. Just
right, like Alabama getting absolutely destroyed.
Oh my gosh! Like, oh, this is going to be good. Let's get these teams out. And yeah, Alabama was so much better. Oh my god!
Hey, if there's a bright side on the college football playoff, like for the most part, like there's no, it's all fresh faces, right? All fresh faces. Maybe Oregon's not so fresh, but you got Indiana, Oregon, Miami, and Ole Miss. I know we're a G5 school, but I think I'm rooting for Ole Miss, man. Like, I just, I love watching Trinidad Chambliss. Hope he gets another year of eligibility. And I just like to see them like win the whole thing and just stick it to Lane.
Well, whether you know it or not, Lane Kiffin has something built into his contract with LSU.
I know he's gonna get paid. I know. I don't really care about that.
I don't know if it's sticking it to him. It's more sticking to him if they don't. Like,
Well, no, but like in a way, it's sticking it to him, right? Like
yeah.
you left here and we won it without you, buddy. I don't know. I just, yeah, that would be a cool story.
I
On
think
the
it's
other,
very much going to be a whoever wins the national championship. We're going to lean on defense. Makes me lean Miami, but whoever wins that Indiana Oregon game, it's tough.
Indiana just looks like on another level versus anybody that's left, right? Like they look like the clear best team. They've looked, for the most part, they've looked pretty good all year.
I'll be curious though. It's hard to beat the same team twice.
Yeah, it is. But I think I don't know, man. Like those guys are on a mission.
I don't know if you saw it, but somebody was talking to Kurt Cincinnati, and he was like, "These transfer portal guys are eating into my time to prep for Oregon." I was busy from 10 a.m. to 2 hosting X amount of players, and
Yeah,
he must have posted it somewhere because then Dan Lanning replied,
yep.
keep working on those recruits or something.
Yes. Yeah, but it should be an exciting end of the year for college football, and this is it for us. In terms of the 2025 season, wrapping it up tonight, and we're gonna move on over to our freshman of the year, players of the year, and then our All American team. You ready to get started?
Let's do that. So the G5 Hive freshman offensive player of the year, none other than North Texas running back Caleb Hawkins. Caleb ran for 1,216 yards and 23 touchdowns on the ground while adding 26 catches for 334 yards and another 3 touchdowns in the air. Congrats, Caleb, on an outstanding season.
The G5 Hive Freshman Defensive Player of the Year, Florida International Safety, Josiah McGrew. Josiah had 67 tackles, 52 solos, 2 forced fumbles, 4 pass defenses, and 4 interceptions on the season. Congrats on the outstanding season, Josiah.
The G5 Hive Offensive Player of the Year, South Florida quarterback Byron Brown. Byron threw for 3,158 yards and 28 touchdowns while adding 1,008 yards and another 14 touchdowns on the ground this season. Congrats to Byron on the outstanding season.
The G5 Hive Defensive Player of the Year, Louisiana Tech safety Jakari Foster. Jakari had 52 tackles, 23 solo, 1 forced fumble, 4 pass defenses, 1 touchdown, and a college football leading 7 interceptions on the season. Congrats on an outstanding year, Jakari.
All right, now for the G5 Hive Offensive All-American team. Quarterback, Byron Brown, South Florida.
You want to talk about what other quarterbacks maybe
Yeah. So
other quarterbacks we considered, I guess. I mean, I don't know, Colton Joseph.
Colton Joseph is probably yep. And we just went with Byron based on how he performed. When you add the rushing touchdowns and the passing yards, if you take him away from that team doesn't perform. Old Dominion, obviously no one's going to perform when you take that QB1 out, but I think it would have been a bigger
we saw it in the
deflation.
bowl game, right? We saw. I mean, now that's a direct comparison, right? We saw Old Dominion without Colton Joseph, and we saw South Florida without Byron Brown. He just did so much for that team. I mean, that was one of the easier decisions, I think, was Byron Brown being the quarterback. Obviously, he's our player of the year. But yeah, there were lots of great quarterback play in the G5. Most of those guys are moving up to the P4, unfortunately.
It's crazy because, obviously Drew Mestemaker, the talk of the town, getting all this stuff, and it was Byron Brown. It seemed like he was just like this forgotten guy because they weren't in the G5 playoff picture and this and that, but like he was outstanding.
Yeah, he did. He did. All right, moving over to our running backs, we had freshman of the year running back Caleb Hawkins in North Texas and Cam Cook, Jacksonville State. I don't know if that. I mean, from a All-American perspective for the G5, I don't know that we really had much debate like other than these two, right?
Yeah, and Cam Cook was on a different level all
He
year.
led the nation in rushing.
Yeah, and then obviously Caleb Hawkins, once he takes over, does what he does. It was pretty cut dry here. For our wide receivers, this is where we obviously there's a lot more wide receivers. This was the harder one, but we went with wide receiver Danny Scudero, San Jose State, Skylar Bell at UConn, and Camden Brown, Georgia Southern. We thought about Bo Sparks, Texas State, Wyatt Young, North Texas. I think
Easton Messer.
Easton Messer. We also kind of went back and forth between, but like Danny Scudero led the nation in targets per game. He led the nation in receiving yards per game with 108. And Skylar Bell was third in the nation. Now, Easton Messer, he was fourth in the nation, or he was Skylar Bell was second in the nation in receiving yards per game, and Easton Messer was ninth. But it was, for me, it was the touchdowns. We had Camden Brown led all of college football with 14 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards receiving. It's like, I know touchdowns aren't a sticky stat, but that's a hard one. He's not an All-American. Like, you got to produce, you got to do something, and he crushed it. Danny Scudero had 10, Skylar Bell had 13, so they were producing yards and the touchdowns.
Moving over to our tight end. Our tight end was Dorian Thomas from New Mexico. Really, the only, I guess, other guy we kind of considered was Brody Foley there at Tulsa, and he just came down to the fact that Brody Foley really came on strong the second half of the season, whereas Dorian Thomas was just kind of did it all year long, and so that's kind of why we chose Dorian, and both of those guys are off to the P4. I don't know if there's anyone on our All-American list that either isn't graduating, going to the NFL, or not.
That's what I was just looking at. I'm like, Byron Brown, Auburn, Cam Cook, Portal, Hawkins, Oklahoma State, Danny Scudero, Colorado, Skylar Bell off to the NFL, Camden Brown off to the NFL, Dorian Thomas.
He's
Portal.
He's in the portal. Yeah, it's But we saw that last year, right? We saw that with the all-conference teams. Guys, not very many first-team all-conference guys returning back in the G5, unfortunately.
You want to know why? Because it's a safety issue to have them in the G5.
That's right.
I can't imagine any of these P4 teams would want these G5 guys. That's a safety issue. All right, offensive tackle. We had Memphis, Travis Berkey, and Coastal Carolina's Nick Del Grande. For me, it was pretty much those two. Nick Del Grande didn't play as many games. You could have gone with Dorian Strawn or Cage Casey, but those two killed it all year. And Travis Berkey, I would say, was a level above, even those groups.
Yep.
And we know what Cage Casey is going to be. He's going to be an NFL draft pick. These guys are killed it this year.
Offensive guards, and for me, the second one was the toughest, the hardest decision out of all of them, all the position groups. But the first guy was easy. Shadre Hurst, Tulane, one of the best offensive linemen in all of G5, all of college football for that matter. Unfortunately, he's going to Houston. But the second pick, we picked Lawrence Seymour out of Western Kentucky. And there were so many guys. We could have picked Jay Mickle, UL Monroe, Tristan Smith, Arkansas State. I think there was I want to say there was a guy from Army we talked about. That was probably like the hardest one out of all of them, I think, in terms of like who we would pick. But at the end of the day, we went with Lawrence Seymour.
And then for safety, we went with Louisiana Monroe center. Center. Sorry, I said safety. Center. We went with Elijah Fisher. In all of college football, I feel like there was a kind of a tier. There was like this top tier, which was like Logan Jones from Iowa, Matt Glublin from Michigan State, and Jake Slaughter from Florida. And then it was Elijah Fisher on his own. And then you had Anthony Boswell Toledo just under him, and Jacob Spoomer from Fresno State probably in that mix there. But like Elijah Fisher, easily, one of the best centers in the G5, only allowed 0.93 pressures per snap in 2025. So that was just a great season by Elisha.
And rounding out our offensive team, our kicker, Kansei Matsuzawa, the Tokyo Toe from Hawaii. He should have been the Ray Guy winner. G5 bias, I'm assuming didn't get it. He missed one field goal. We saw the actual Ray Guy winner miss 2 field goals, I think, in the first round of the college football playoffs, right? The guy, the kid from Oklahoma.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Kansei, just incredible story too, right? Taught himself how to kick from YouTube. Came over to the United States. Believe he was the NIAI or Division III. Then ended up in Hawaii. And just man,
he was like in
story.
Ohio or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
incredible story. I think we'll see him kicking in the NFL. I think so. I mean, he's a really great kicker, really super accurate. I think he'll be kicking on Sundays. I think both Pittsburgh and Baltimore might be looking for a kicker after that game last night. But yeah, that rounds out the all offense team. Now we'll move over to our G5 Hive All-American defensive team. And we'll start with the guys on the edge. We got Nadame Tucker and Adam Trick from Miami. Nadame Tucker, Western Michigan. This one I think was pretty highly contested. It was really from the one conference, from the MAC, like Michael Heldman, right? Like he was like someone.
Yep.
That was kind of the third guy. Like it was really. Nadame was obvious, right? Led the G5 in sacks, second in all of college football behind David Bailey. But the debate really was Adam Trick or Michael Heldman. I don't think you could have made a wrong choice either way. We ended up going with Adam Trick. Adam is in the transfer portal. Nadame, I believe, will be hoping to get drafted come April. But they both had outstanding seasons this year. Rushing the quarterback, creating pressure, creating that havoc.
And then for defensive tackles, a man unto himself, Ezra Christensen, New Mexico State. I think that was an easy one. I think we had a little bit more conversation maybe around our next one, which was Landon Robinson, who had a great season for Navy. 6 sacks is, I think, what really kind of helped propel him into this spot for us. Dejon Benton from Hawaii had a great season, had more total pressures and only half a sack less. But it's like just Landon Robinson, when you take him out, that Navy defense obviously still going to be good, but it's a little bit different without him. And DeMonte Smith for Middle Tennessee was great all year, but just didn't have the sacks with 3 on the year. But then Landon Robinson almost gets you 5 tackles a game coming out of that defensive tackle spot.
He just
really good.
Yeah, he's a man. He was a man child for Navy. Another guy I think we'll be seeing get drafted and playing in NFL, Landon Robinson, and then Ezra Christensen is in the transfer portal, likely to end up at a P4. All right, let's get over to our linebackers. We had Owen Long from Colorado State led the nation in tackles. Then we had Red Murdoch, Buffalo. The guy was just a tackling. Not only was he a tackling machine, he broke the NCAA record for forced fumbles that was held by another Buffalo player and NFL guy Khalil Mack. And then rounding out our 3, Brian Parham from UConn. That's probably where we had the most debate, maybe. And it was, I guess, really between him, maybe Ray Coney, Jackson Eck. And I think, Parham just not only was he getting tackles, he was getting a lot of sacks. The dude was just kind of doing it all for that UConn defense, and that's kind of the reason why I went with Parham over Eck and Ray Coney. Parham's out of eligibility. Assume he'll be trying to go to the NFL. Same with Red Murdoch. Owen Long, I don't think he's out of eligibility, and I don't believe I haven't heard anything him going in the portal. So he might be one of the ones that's staying in the G5. We'll see.
And Parham at UConn, Owen Long now has UConn's head coach. Maybe there's something, hey, look what I was able to do here. I don't know. Yeah. Safety. Jakari Foster, Louisiana Tech, no doubter. Not only was he one of the best in the G5, but he was by far leaps and strides better than anybody in college football in terms of the analytics. He had 7 interceptions. He had 5 pass breakups. He was getting you 4 tackles a game. His statistic that you have, Justice,
adjusted net yards against per coverage snap,
negative 0.575, pretty much double number 2, and that was Caleb Nix, Jacksonville State, who's also on this list. Like I said, negative 0.92 for the adjusted net yards per coverage snap. Number 2 in all of college football. 4 interceptions. He had a QB rating against him of 25.9. He also got you about 4 tackles a game. Just great seasons by both of those players.
And the other safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Toledo, who made our list for All-American. That was where the debate was, I guess, in terms of who would make it. Caleb Nix, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
Yes.
Emmanuel, he just kind of did it all. He was good in pass coverage. He was, pretty consistently in the top 5 in adjusted net yards against, but then he also did it in run support, right? One of the top tacklers from a safety position. I think that all around nature is kind of what gave him the
6
nod.
tackles. He had 6 tackles a game. He was in the box 63% of the time. He was, like you said, he could kind of do it all. Had 4 pass breaks up, only 2 interceptions. He had a great year.
Yeah, he will. I have no doubt he will be drafted come April.
Absolutely.
And then so move to our 2 cornerbacks. I don't know that we really had a ton of debate here. I mean, Chris Johnson, San Diego State, that was the no-brainer, right? And then Marion McCoy, Boise State. Those 2 guys.
This This is honestly, I think, one of the most cut and dry because not only were they like good in the G5, they were like the best in all of college football.
Yeah. Yep. Outstanding seasons.
All right, and then punter, Billy Gowers, Hawaii. There's just something about kicking. It's it just means more in Hawaii, I think.
Yeah, and Billy was a true freshman. He's like 26 years old. He came from Australia, but he is a true freshman. And unfortunately, Billy is in the transfer portal. I haven't seen or heard anything in terms of where he might be going, where he might be ending up. But yeah, outstanding season for both the Hawaii specialists. Both make our All-American team. I know Kansei, I think he might have been a unanimous All-American. I want to say Landon Robinson, I think, was the same as far as G5 guys. I don't know if there were any other G5 guys that were unanimous All-Americans. Not just G5, like All-Americans, all of college football. But Kansei, Matsuzawa, and Landon Robinson were two of them. So great season for the G5. And, one thing we've learned, like we talked about, most of these guys are gone, whether it's transfer portal, NFL, out of eligibility, etc. But there's going to be a new crop of guys that are going to step up and fill these roles. We could have said these same things last year, and we had a new set of superstars in the G5 in 2025, and we'll have a new set here in 2026, and we'll be getting to that new set here in the not too distant future when we kick off our Worker Bee series. That's where so if you're looking like thinking, hey, who's going to be the next superstar for my team? Tune in when we do the Worker Bee series. We cover your school and find out who the next the next Red Murdoch is, who's the next Byron Brown, the next Cam Cook, the next Landon Robinson. Yeah, tune in and we'll have all that for you starting in the not too distant future, right? I mean, I believe Hawaii's spring practice probably kicks off here in a couple weeks.
They'll
and then
start in late February, I think, or mid-February, and we'll probably do something around mid-March would be my guess, or just after roughly spring break time, something like that. And then
be going hot and heavy all the way till August.
Yep. So, all right. That's going to close it out for us tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on X. Give us a follow. And if you're listening to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star rating and reviews. They really help us out. Quick show note, with the transfer portal, we've talked about it in full swing. That's closing Friday, January 16th. We'll be taking Monday, January 12th off, and the following Monday, probably taking that one off. We're aiming, I say tentatively, we're aiming to come back Monday, January 26th, but, we're going to keep you posted on our socials. So take a look on X when we come back, but we're going to at least take 2 weeks off, and while the transfer portal settles, then we'll kind of dive into the teams. One of my favorite things that we'll do is, the coaches, what do they like to do offensively, defensively? I guess mainly we talk about the offense of like, okay, are they run heavy? Are they pass heavy? What do they like to do? That's one of my favorite things to do, and diving into that. But we're going to be starting to, like I said, start to sort through what those G5 teams are going to look like heading into 2026. 2025 was a great year for us here at the G5 Hive. And whether you're here for your team, whether you're a diehard college football fan, or hey, maybe you're grinding college fantasy football, we've got you covered each and every week. Mondays right around 10:30 p.m. Eastern, we go live. If 2025 was good, 2026 is going to be even better. Let us help you stay ahead of the game with our G5 Hive Worker Bee series. Until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.